Hi Julie, thanks for joining us today.
Hi Abby.
Thanks for giving us your time today. We're going to have a little chat with you in a minute and talk about how Supermums has transformed your thinking. I really like this quote in that you gave us. It's transformed your thinking from imposter syndrome to self-belief. And I think that's kind of a really common fear of a lot of our Supermums thinking about joining the course, is being worried to get going and take the plunge into something new. So really looking forward to having a bit of a chat about your story. First of all, for those of you who are new to Supermums, just a quick introduction. So we've trained over 260 Supermums and some dads all across the globe. So we now run our Introduction to Salesforce course, our administrator program, as well as a consulting and marketing course. And we run them out of the European time zone and also out of the US time zone. Hopefully Australia and New Zealand coming soon. We've got some great charities and volunteer mentors also involved in what we do. So you get loads of support when you're on our training and the opportunity to put your skills into practice through our work experience program. We've got loads of great companies involved as well, from supporting our programs through to working on the recruitment side, which we can also help with you with. Here's some of our partners here, and we're going to be talking a little bit today about the administrator course, which is what Julie took part in, and that is sponsored by St James's Place Wealth Management. So a big thanks to them. Right, Julie, I'm going to stop sharing the screen here so we can see you.
Yeah.
So it'd be great to hear a little bit about your story and your journey, but do you want to just give us a very brief overview of what you're doing now and how you work?
Yes, I work at a national charity, and I am a manager of a service there, and our service delivers a helpline and advice service for single parents across Scotland.
Okay, great. And I understand you were kind of instrumental in helping them think that Salesforce might be a useful tool for them.
Yes, it was like an enthusiastic sort of, oh, have you heard about this, heard about that? And then it's become a reality now. So it's fantastic. It's really exciting.
That's really great that you had the confidence to do that, like combined with the knowledge and the confidence to go forth and assure them that this would be like a really good thing for them to do.
Yeah, well, I went on a personal mission really when I just started with my team, and they were using a 15-year-old Access database, and there were two versions for two offices, and then they had to merge them at the end of the day. And this was this old system that was never going to be updated. We didn't have any in-house IT or digital offices or digital strategy at the time either. And so I had to set myself a task to think, well, there's got to be a better alternative to this. Mm-hmm. And then I discovered the word CRM and then started investigating myself, really. I kind of found out a bit about HubSpot and Civi CRM and lots of different alternatives. But when I heard about Salesforce, I was quite intrigued because it said it was out of the box and it was something that people can configure and set up themselves. And it was cloud-based.
Yeah, and I don't think that charity is particularly unusual necessarily. I think in the charity sector, that's quite a common situation. Yeah. But there is this idea of digital transformation coming more and more into the market. So it's kind of got on board with that early and give that chance to upskill and be prepared and perhaps be a driver of that digital transformation in non-profit. So,
definitely.
Sorry, carry on.
Yeah, I reached out to the sector and just thought, well, what do you use? And lots of people weren't using much. They were also stuck in an old Access database. Some of them were using Dynamics and there were hit and miss kind of opinions about that. Very few were using Salesforce in the sector that I work in, which is largely helpline managers. But I did find one major charity that was using Salesforce, and I thought, I'll just go and see what it looks like. And I went to see them. And they were great because they gave me this really lovely presentation showing how it works. And that's when I had my wow moment. This is definitely the future. I'm onto something here. I never at the time thought of it as a career option, but I certainly thought it was something I should take back to the workplace and say, you need to start thinking about this because we've got to start transforming using digital tools like this. So,
so you said
I was wowed by the dashboard, of course.
Yeah, especially on the user side, the dashboard
Yeah,
is really where it's at.
yeah,
So it's a big thing throughout the course that it seems to me from the feedback I get, and from certainly when I did the course, it's one of the sections that people find quite challenging, but the results that you can get at the end, especially for users, is brilliant.
totally. And as a manager of service, it's great to be able to see live reporting, because at the moment everything's on spreadsheets. You transfer it across from the old database, and it takes time. But to actually see it live ticking each day, how many calls are coming to the helpline, how many in the queue, how many did we deal with the web chat, that is just fantastic. And you can see it on the go. And I immediately saw it more than how I thought it was. It wasn't just a database. It was actually a tool and a vehicle for change, really. And that's what really excited me.
Great. And so, yeah, you've seen kind of all what Salesforce can do and how it can help charities achieve their mission and be more effective. And you said at first you didn't see it, you kind of hadn't recognized it as a career opportunity. But obviously now you do. So let's kind of go back and talk a little bit about that opportunity and that journey. So what kind of brought you to Supermums in the first place? What made you think, yeah, that's something I want to do?
Well, I got on with the day job, and while I was moving from, while I was trying to move our team from working on paper-based systems using filing cabinets to cloud-based systems for filing using the OneDrive and SharePoint, Trello, Slack, that sort of thing. So spent a lot of time supporting team and helping them with that, and also developing services. And Salesforce was always sort of lingering in the background, never kind of thought about it, but we were a long way before we would kind of think about that as a real option. And largely it's down to funding and the driver, in terms of the sector digital experience. But it was, I guess in Scotland, there was this major push that Scotland really needs to start digitally transforming now. And there was more of that news coming through in third sector newspapers and events and things like that. And I was starting to attend some of these events. And then obviously I remembered Salesforce. So I thought, okay, if we can't get it as an organization, I'll look into it for my team, because I'd heard you get a bit of it for free. So, and we're quite a small team. And so I just literally Googled, how do I learn Salesforce? And Supermums popped up, and it was kind of that second wow moment. So, oh my God, this is like me. I was totally the target group. And I was like, oh, brilliant. This is actually also made it feel like a real kind of option to actually not just get it for the service, but see it as something for me too. But I was really sold by the whole Salesforce value system, the drive for equality, and that the Supermums was a whole learning process from start to finish. It wasn't just a teach to the test kind of course. It's a really supportive environment. And I was particularly inspired by the founder's own personal journey and personal story, that she actually set up Supermums on her maternity leave. So I thought, well, I remember those 6 months on maternity, well, for me it was paternity leave, but, and that's hard work. So yeah, I was really inspired by that story, and she was so motivating and seems to get the fact that mums and parents all need a break and all need a bit of understanding, and they've got a lot of skills to offer.
Yeah.
So for me, that was the pivotal moment. I thought, yes, I'm going to learn this now. And I started finding people in the community in Salesforce, and I went for a coffee with someone who's the head of the non-profit community group in Scotland.
Oh, fantastic.
And that sealed it for me, really. From that day, I thought, right, I'm going to find a way of doing this training, yeah.
Great. There's a few really good points that I want to come back to, actually, especially around kind of getting in touch with people in the community, because I think that's a really important thing that we do talk about, especially as you progress and want to go on to get jobs. But just want to take you back to how you felt at that time. So just kind of before you were signing up, did you have any kind of worries or concerns, and how did you overcome those? What was your process?
Well, I'm sure every single mum who signs that, it hasn't got a tech background, just thinks, is this for me? Is this right? Am I being silly? Can I do this? But, I was starting to develop in tech, despite some limitations at work with it not being a major feature. I'd left London, and I was really interested in the big move down there. In my former role where they were kind of moving into agile kind of ways of working, digital transformation. And then when I came to my current role, we kind of went back a few years and went back to paper and filing cabinets, like I say. But at the same time, I kind of self-taught myself, well, what's this OneDrive? What's this Trello? What's this SharePoint? Oh, that works, we'll do that. That's that seems to fit the bill. And I thought, well, if I can transform in that way and start using all these tools in a really good way and teach people how to use them, and it's not for its own sake, it's because they actually do the job to make your life a bit more easy, and I'm all for that, for my team and for me. So yeah, the biggest barrier is getting over that, do you have to be a techie? But for me, I think the biggest message around kind of whether you should do this course or think about Salesforce as an option is, don't see it as a tech role. For me, Salesforce is about people. It's about making people connect, and it's about making your processes at work easier for the people that manage them and use them at work to make it better for your client group and the people at the heart of any of the Salesforce processes. And you should always remember that whenever you're configuring it, I think. So yeah, that for me sold it, as well as everything else around the culture and community and positivity that you really, really hear and soak up, and it just is a big driver for me.
Yeah, I really like that thing that you said about people being at the heart of it, and that being a really important part of it. Because I think when people think about tech careers, they think about, oh, I'm just going to be sitting there on a computer like all day doing what I do. And that's definitely not the case with Salesforce and with the kind of roles, as you say, a big part of why Heather launched the consultancy program that we all, a big part of that role, whether you're an admin or a consultant, is talking to people about what they need it to do, so you can make it do what they want it to do, and communicator in that way. So yeah, it is about people. So I really like that you mentioned that. That's really useful insight. So then you joined the program and went through the training, and I know people often feel it can be quite a learning journey when you start to get a bit confident and then you realize how much there is to learn in Salesforce. So how did you feel throughout the process of that kind of learning journey? So the course is about 6 months in total, from kind of day one of your webinars through to finishing your work experience. How did you do that journey? Were there like really high points or any bits that you struggled with?
Yeah, for me, because I was doing it full time while I was, I was still working full time, and sometimes during crunch points, I thought, oh, I'm crazy. Why am I doing some working full time in a fairly stressful role? But I'm doing it. I am doing it. So I think because I had to spend a bit of time negotiating at work to allow me to take 2 hours off work each week to do the webinars, it kind of gave me that bit of time to sign up to Trailhead, get used to a bit of the language. So I'd recommend that people do that, certainly, just to get all that in place, because you don't really want to be playing catch up once the course started, because it is a whirlwind ride, really, especially if you don't know anything about Salesforce. I wasn't a user. I didn't know anyone using it on a very personal level. And, so all the language was quite new. And it is like learning a new language, really. So that was great because it was exciting, but it's also something that you have to think about in terms of your time management. So I guess initially you have that high of when you first sign up, right, this is definitely, I've done the right thing. And then you go through, and with the other mums, people are worrying, and then you start to worry and you think, and is this right? And then you get through a hurdle and then you think, yes, got it, I cracked it. And I actually really, really like those elements. I'm a problem solver. I like to ask a lot of questions and get to the root of things, see the bigger picture. And I loved the homework that we had each week, because it really tested your ability to actually find a solution that wasn't always obvious. And the homework was deliberately difficult in that respect. It wasn't an easy ride. And I like the fact that it stretched you, because when you're learning something new, you want to accelerate really quickly and you want to be proud of that journey. And I love the fact that you could sort of reach out to the community and always find a solution. And Supermum's always promoted that. Reach out to your own group reach out to supermums and the wider Trailblazer community that Salesforce has.
Yeah, that's a big part of the course, and something that we really try to promote is that sense of community. So there's the Salesforce community and the Supermums community, and then kind of group community.
Yeah.
So there's different ways to get that kind of level of support, which is really nice. And since you finished the course, you've also been taking part in the one of our newer offers, which is the coaching as well. Is that right?
Oh yeah. That's certainly, I mean, that's the good thing about the Supermums course. Like I said, it's not just, just do the test, try and get you to be a Salesforce administrator and certification. It's a whole kind of journey that you're on for yourself. And for me, that was important because I think when you work in the nonprofit sector that I always have, you do it for the mission, you do it for the cause, a strong sense of value. My total commitment to social justice causes, and it's always been a driver for me, and helping my team grow and develop and make the services central kind of to what we do, and smash all the targets and everything else. But the main thing is that, you're making a difference, and you don't always put yourself in that picture easily. Once you manage a service, probably even less. And I never really thought of myself as having long-term goals beyond getting through the next financial year's funding, so apart from doing really well. But I knew I'd been in the sector 15, 20 years, and I was starting to kind of feel like I needed a change. And the self-belief that you start kind of believing in when you're on the Supermums course is a really key feature of it. And I think you've got to start embracing that way of thinking. And I think in the nonprofit sector, you don't always have this thing about celebrating success and thinking of things as achievements. It's all about the cause, and which is great, of course. But for the first time, I actually gave myself permission to invest in myself, and that was a real positive thing for me, because without feeling it was a bit icky or a bit, it's a bit American, it's not at all. And the only person you're hurting by not doing it is yourself. And when you do invest in yourself and you have that self-belief, you kick the imposter down the road, and you can really feel like you've got something new and more to give. And I've really enjoyed that personal journey that I've been on as well. And the coaches in Supermum have been a key part of that. Heather and Zoe's session, I remember a particular one about the wheel of life. And I'd felt like, I had pretty good finances. My health was pretty good. I joined a running club. I was doing meditation, yoga, and thought, family life was great. The one thing I felt like, I'm not feeling so satisfied being was just my job, really. I've just fancied a change. And so my incentive for doing the course wasn't financial or anything. It was really about the culture and the commitment to the product being a transformative thing for change. And the coaching helped me believe that I could be part of that. So it's a major part of the course. And also, not only when you're doing the course, you actually still get access to the coaching after the course has ended, of course. And listening to Heather is always inspiring, whether it's a 10-minute thing on Facebook for the start of the week. It really sets you up for the week.
Oh, good. I'm glad. And I'm glad you've been able to support in that way, because that is a big thing. A lot of people do have some worries about how, to then continue that journey. And kind of, I say, once a supermum, always a supermum. We bring you into the fold.
Yeah.
Lots of stay involved. And as you say, that it brings us nicely to this idea of being part of the community, or in Salesforce, as if anyone who doesn't already know, in Salesforce we call it like the ecosystem, or and this sense of being part of something.
Definitely.
Everyone in Salesforce is really good at sharing their knowledge as well. I think sometimes when you're entering a new industry, it's that whole thing of people have got the information,
yes.
And you haven't. Whereas everyone in Salesforce be quite open. Like you said, you met with someone in the not-for-profit sector, they're quite open to doing that, and you've never met them before, but willing to come.
Because there's that culture that you can, and that's nice. You don't always know, should I, shan't I? But actually, the Supermums culture is equally gives you that extra layer, because you think, you've been a super mum. I'm totally allowed to go and contact you and totally going to get something from you. You know what it's been like. And I contacted loads of alumni. You know, I spoke to a few who just graduated a year before me and had moved into roles. So, you know, they were so helpful because they'd gone through that roller coaster journey and they'd become successful, so they could reflect and, you know, really give extra tips as well. And I think it's actually quite useful when thinking about your career and looking for jobs, because on LinkedIn, if you know, you can see people that have been super mums many years ago and have moved into very successful roles, or are mentors or supporters of super mums. You feel that real connection with them as well, and you feel like you can go to them for support and advice or learning. And I've always got some question to ask lots of people, so yeah, when I have time.
Yeah. Are there any particular like people or groups, to put you on the spot a bit, that you would recommend, or how would you recommend someone kind of take their first steps? So there's some good first places to go looking.
Well, always join your local Salesforce community for your sector. Obviously, I'm in the non-profit sector and there's the community group, but there's also the Women in Technology group in the area I live. Not everywhere will have one, but in Women in Tech Scotland, I went to their meetings, I think even before the Super Mums course started, or very early on. I always had it on my radar, because when you sign up as a Trailhead user, you can immediately get involved in the community, and it's worth doing it before you even start the course, just to see, really. So definitely follow those people that are in those groups as well. You know, the people you find interesting, look them up on LinkedIn or Twitter and start following them. I got, you know, I mean, some are quite inspirational people that have gone on a journey themselves, like Gemma Blezard, who's become an architect and who was a single parent, and quite an inspiring story. You know, she's gone through a lot in her life and she's very successful and supporting other people all the time. I got quite addicted to Salesforce Hulk, who's a MVP, the youngest MVP ever at the first one, I think. But so he does quite good videos on learning. But I mean, that's more about learning the things, but he does it in a quite funny, dynamic way.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
to start the MVPs, and you know, for anyone watching doesn't know, it certainly took me
sorry.
to figure out all this like terminology, like, and once you get into it, it's so easy, and you know.
I know, it's terrible, isn't it? Yeah.
But it's the idea of people who are really big at contributing to this idea of HANA and the ecosystem, and they're recognised by Salesforce for doing so, and get this title from Salesforce as an MVP, and there are new people every year. And we've got some great volunteer mentors as well who are MVPs and are great at sharing their knowledge. So it's a good example of how Salesforce promotes that sense of community and recognises achievement as well, and recognises those contributions. It's really so talking about kind of achievements, you know, we do encourage supermums to think of the admin course as just the beginning of a journey, because Salesforce does offer so many different opportunities for growth. So let's just end by touching on kind of what's next for you. Have you got any?
Well, yeah, I mean, certainly, I've certainly got a vision for moving into the Salesforce ecosystem and landing a role. I've actually got an interview next week. I've only just started job hunting this week, so that's great for me. I've done my Salesforce admin certification, but I certainly never thought of that as the only thing I would do. And you know, by the time you're halfway through the course, you start realizing there's so much more. It is complex, but you can find areas of interest. I'm particularly interested. I also completed my app builder certification a week later after the admin cert, so I would recommend doing those two together. But I plan to do the Service Cloud certification when I can, because that aligns with what I'm doing at work. And so although Salesforce was not a feature at work, because I've been badgering, they did eventually get it in the workplace, and actually I've helped negotiate that they invest in not only the nonprofit success pack, but also invest in the Service Cloud add-on in order to you know, meet the needs of my service. So that is going to be implemented over the next couple of months. So that's really great news. And so I'm hoping to be part of that configuration process. Obviously, I'll be making sure it fits my service. But on the side, I always had a fantasy app that I was creating for my service anyway. So I think that's quite a good one I can demonstrate at interviews and things like that, because one that has web chat and the Salesforce community. So I'd like to do the community cloud cert and the nonprofit cloud cert as well, and continue developing my app while I'm learning for the service cloud cert, because yeah, I love when you can add on the web chat and the communities, because then it all starts to make sense, doesn't it? And you know, you feel like it makes sense to my sector and my role in terms of supporting the client group that we have, and making that as smooth as possible for them and client-centered. So yeah, I've been fantasizing about that. So it'd be great working with the consultant that we have at work to make that a reality now.
Yeah. And that puts you in a really good position for future Salesforce roles, of having been on both sides of it, kind of as a user and on the user side of having it implemented and working with the consultant. Like, that's a really interesting viewpoint, I think, to then take forward.
Yeah. And I would entirely be, you know, capable of helping with the configuration. I know when you do the Supermoms course, you do the work placements, and I actually volunteered to do 2 extra work placements when I was on the Supermoms course, because I really wanted to deliver some training to system administrators. So that was really good experience. So I will then be able to train my team. I will be able to do the demonstrations for my team and feel much more comfortable doing that. And also with the workplace experience, you know, you get quite proficient at just doing loads and loads of different data fields, process fields and validation rules and things like that. So I will certainly be able to set that up and make sure that I'm part of it at work, so that I can kind of be part of the configuration, hopefully.
Yeah, definitely. The work experience is great at kind of consolidating everything you learn and kind of helping it all make sense. And I think that's one thing I mentioned to people who are thinking about doing the course, is to go and look at where it's used. So on Salesforce's website, you can see like customer success stories, and they tell you how it's used, and you can see the end product, and then know that that's what Salesforce is enabling. Salesforce is sitting behind that to give people this experience. So customer success stories and being on the other end really helps you understand what you're doing and why you're doing it.
Those things are so important, I think, those successes, and they really help me take the plunge as well, because, you know, not only the trailblazer kind of admin success stories, but the services and organization success stories, but they're a big motivator. So definitely, if people are on the course, keep listening to those stories. If you're not exposed to Salesforce in your day-to-day life as well, I know I used to listen to the Salesforce admin podcast when I was going for a run, you know, each week or whatever. So I always found those, like, whenever you have those dips, oh, can I do this? You know, you listen to that and you feel part of that community, and it's worth making yourself work even harder, because you want to be a piece of that. You know, you want to contribute. And so definitely the success stories are always influential, and the Supermoms ones.
Yes, of course, on our website you can see, well, it's where this will be at some point, and alongside yours will be the stories of many other Supermoms who have kind of been through the program and are now in work. So I think we'll leave it there. Thank you so much for your time today. It's been a pleasure. Just before you go, I'm just going to run through, for everyone watching, the next steps. So if, like Julie, you'd like to upskill and get your admin certification, we run courses 4 times a year. So we've got one in September, November, February, and May. It takes about 6 months in total. It includes the webinars, and as we touched on, mentorship, work experience, and access to coaching to keep you motivated and feel part of the community, so you can really make sure you excel into the next step for you. Following on from that, we do have our consultancy skills program as well, which gives some insights into how to do things like business analysis and requirements gathering, which is something you might find useful later down the line. So the next step is to, if you want to, you can book in a one-to-one chat with me. If you're in Europe, that would be with me. If you are in the US, then that would be with my colleague Shellin, and you can go online and book a time to have a one-to-one chat with us. Also, like Julie mentioned, it is really important to get involved in the Salesforce community, especially if you want to find out a bit more about what Salesforce is like as a company, what the Ohana and the ecosystem is all about. start off by searching at Supermums Global and find us, and that will link you into lots of other people and groups so you can find out more. We'll leave it there. Thanks very much for your time today, Julie. It was great having you.
Great to chat to you. It's really nice to be able to support Supermums, and definitely the thing about extra you get from Supermums is around that business analysis side. You get that in the course really quickly, and that is so important because you don't get that anywhere else, just understanding the process of implementation. So I just want to mention that because that was a big pivotal moment for me to see myself beyond the admin role.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up, because yes, we do it in a whole separate course in a bit more in depth, but we do touch on it in the admin course. It goes back to what you were saying about the admin course being broader than just teaching to the exam, because we add a lot more in. So there is the business analysis and requirements gathering, project management side of it. We also have the third-party apps, so added extra functionality. And I think the course improvements and some new partnerships there, so there's even more opportunities to learn about other tools to integrate with Salesforce to expand its functionality as well. And then we have also got the employment readiness module now, which we're building out over time to make sure that you have the skills and the tools and the confidence to go and get that role. So thank you very much, and we'll leave you to get on with the rest of your day. Thank you.
Thanks, Abigail. See you soon. Bye.